Yeah, this one, it's a story of two ends of the spectrum in terms of the ranking points this year. Stevie Dempsey is number 2, and Lee Anderson's number 63. So, but fear not, I don't think this is going to be a one-sided affair. I think Lee Anderson is always a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and he showed us already this weekend that he seems to be playing pretty well. Pro Series 9 is down to the semi-final stage. Stevie Dempsey went out in the first round of that one, and his first shot in anger in Pro Series 10 is not the best. He'll be kicking himself with that one.
Yeah, but unexpected miss. Dry break from Lee Anderson gave Stevie the first opportunity. That's a ball that he would definitely expect to pot. This table's not without its problems, though. The yellows have got a couple of balls tied up on the left-hand side. Equally, the reds are in a similar situation. Lee does have an angle here that he could screw across table, but using the rest is going to make it a little bit tougher. So he's going to elect just to... He would have dearly loved to have an angle on this ball, but he's come too high. So
I don't think he can believe how far he's gone there.
No. Well, that tells a different story. If he can get to the potting angle of this ball, which, well, he thought he could.
I'm not sure that was on.
No, it didn't feel like it.
Yeah, maybe he thought he could just slide it in down the rail, but that did look very, very tight.
Yeah.
He did have a couple of results yesterday, Lee Anderson. Got through Phil the Power Parkin by way of 6-red shootout and a Hill decider with Aaron Davies as well before running a cropper to Cam Tolley in the last 32.
And for Lee Anderson, he does need to take his opportunities. That missed ball from Stevie Dempsey, you're not going to see many of those.
No. Yeah, that's a really rare opportunity, to be honest with you. Stevie's been so relentlessly good for the last 18 months, really, that any chance like that, you've got to jump all over.
Another miss.
Yeah, that one was a fair bit tougher than the first, but again, you just don't expect Stevie to miss them at this stage.
Yeah, it's more of a shock when he does. So another opportunity for Lee Anderson, but he's going to have to open with... He's got this thin cut to middle. The cue ball's going to be moving. Or he's got a long straight one to right corner. It's just a question of preference. It's going to be this one to middle. He should just be able to drift the cue ball. He's run it into the 8-ball, and that's disaster. I don't think he was playing for that cannon. I mean, extremely unlucky to go in off from that.
Yeah, that is unlucky. No doubt about it.
Steve with yet another chance. And ball in hand, such a big advantage. So now he has this one problem ball at the bottom of the table. You think that has to be his opening ball.
Yeah, but he needs to be clever in how he plays it, because the 8-ball's still a problem for him, even if he makes this red.
Yeah, he set it in such a way that he's going to cannon into the 8-ball and push that up table. He's just worried then about not blocking himself behind the yellow. So this has to be a clever little shot. Yeah, so much so that he didn't play the cannon. He was worried about playing if you play a 4-ball cannon, he wouldn't have had another shot, so he didn't want to take that risk. Still not all perfect. So now he needs to think about what he's going to do with that 8-ball. I just wonder whether it does squeeze past the yellow.
Well, that may be the plan now. Maybe that's the decision he made. Maybe that's the easier shot than the last, well, than the other option, which is to try and play that cannon off the first shot. It probably goes, but yeah, he's having another look at it.
Yeah, I think he's decided it does. It's one of those you can force it. There's probably not enough room, but if you play it with a bit of pace, it kind of squeezes the cushion and the pocket takes it.
Yeah, almost double kisses it in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, you can force the rubber. The rubber's a bit spongy.
Certainly one who wants to be right behind though, and he's in perfect position to do that.
Yeah, there's no prizes for having a big angle here. If he lands anywhere near the cushion, then it's a horrible shot to have to play. So he needs to get this one absolutely spot on. And this looks just about perfect. It's okay. If you're going to have an angle, you want the angle to be this side rather than the other.
Yeah, I don't think that yellow's in his way either for his cueing, which is nice. And this first frame all comes down to this.
Going to see him play this with a bit of pace. Yeah, there's enough from there. He's okay. Oh, there. I think he needed to play it a bit harder. Well, this is the third opportunity for Lee Anderson. That's a real rarity. You're never going to get that many opportunities against Stevie Dempsey. And this is really a simple chance that he has to take.
Yeah, yellow sails in. It's crazy, isn't it? We often say, or certainly I do, that best players in the world, they may every now and then give you a chance. They very, very rarely give you two. I can't remember the last frame I watched Stevie Dempsey play where he gave someone 3 opportunities.
He just needs to land this ball on the side rail. And he's finished a little bit awkward. He's just got the wrong angle. He wanted to be the other side, and it was just a simple stun shot. Now he's probably going to have to reroute and take the one next to the 8. He's elected to move the yellow, and that's okay. That's worked out well. I guess he did that only just because he had the natural angle to do so. It's not something...
Yeah, I don't think he was forcing it. Yeah.
He's still on the cushion, so awkward cueing, slightly hampered. And he has to manoeuvre the cue ball. He can't just drop this in. So he needs good cueing. Still just betwixt and between. He'll go long with this. Nothing to do with the cue ball. And finally, after a string of errors between both players, it's Lee Anderson.
8 minutes and change that frame took, and even in taking it out, Lee Anderson never looked fully comfortable.
And
yeah, if only he could harness that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's almost like the early stages of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
like he's got that power on tap, but he can't really control it.
Yeah.
If he gets to the point where he can really sort of tap into it, and you know, choose when to turn it on and off and pick his moments, he'll be one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, it's just that little lack of inconsistency. And there's 2 roommates this weekend who will be fuming at Cole Beaufort because he's taken them both out, Declan Brennan, Ronan McCarthy.
With 1 frame to show between them.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He beat Ronan McCarthy 7-1, so incredible.
14-1 aggregate win over Ronan McCarthy and Declan Brennan. That is an astonishing statistic.
You would have got some price on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, just back at this game, another mistake from Stevie. Mistimed the break, the cue ball squirted straight off into the middle pocket. He really has got a good break, and it's one of the consistent things about his game this season and why he's played so well, is he's been breaking well. And you know, just another sign of an error from him. He needed a big weekend this weekend. He's challenging for the #1 spot. He needed a couple of consistent runs. He was out early doors in the first, and you feel you know, Tom's already in the semi-final in event 9. Kind of feel that it's already leaning in Tom's favour, heavily in Tom's favour.
Yeah, he's just about there, isn't he, TC? But I think it's still mathematically possible for Stevie, but I think he has to win this event now.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, I mean, I do not count him out. He's made a habit of winning events.
He's going to have to find his game from what we've seen so far, though, in this match. I mean, we know he's got multiple gears. He's not even got out of neutral yet. So Lee Anderson. This little angle here just to... I was going to say, does he need to develop that ball at the bottom of the table? I think it probably passes the yellow, so he's okay. And surely he can get through this gap to the potting angle of the red. He can. From this angle, it just doesn't look like it's on, but clearly is. But that's...
He's struggled with his cue ball this morning, hasn't he, Lee?
Yeah.
Even in that finish in the first frame, where obviously Stevie missed the black, and it gives, you know, Lee all the time and all the space to work out his finish. He never felt like he was in full control, and he's just not got that cue ball yet this morning, and that will get you. I mean, I say this morning, this afternoon we're in now, but you get the point.
That finish was always going to be fairly high tariff because, I mean, it's just the way you had to navigate the cue ball around. A second prize, though, that's too
a nice
bad.
shot, yeah.
It's put a blocker in and it's left absolutely nothing for Stevie. He's going to be looking for a safe haven on the table. Somewhere, I'd suggest, behind the cluster on the right-hand side. It's just how he goes about getting there. It's not easy. Safety is not a gimme here. He may not actually be able to lay a snooker. He might just have to try and find... He'd love to be able to get to the top left-hand side of the table, but I don't think he can. So he's just going to stun in behind this red. Just needs to be careful of the in-off. He judged that really well. He won't be in a hurry to knock this red out. So offering him...
It's a really clever shot Stevie's played there, though, isn't it? Because he's almost forced into playing this red.
It's actually quite tough if that red's frozen to the cushion. Lee still has to hit a cushion with the cue ball, so he's going to have to hit this with some pace. Does it go? Well, it did. I didn't realise it went through that gap.
But I mean, that might just be the toughest shot on a pool table. That.
Yeah.
He's asked it. I don't know. It's always tough because he may feel like he was forced into that, but that was. I mean, that's a 1 in 100 shot.
Yeah.
And Stevie Dempsey's now got a fully open table to go at.
And despite the fact that Lee's put that blocker ball at the top of the table, that's going to do him no good whatsoever.
Well, especially when he's played a positional shot as good as that.
That's a great shot.
A little bit more like it from Stevie.
Yeah, I was going to say Stevie could have used one of his yellows to pot inside that red and knock it aside, but when you can play positional shots like that, he needs to develop.
The one thing you would say about Stevie is quite often on this fantastic run that he has been on in the last year or so, that it's not as if he is playing out of his skin week in, week out, and tournament in, tournament out. He is the sort of player that every now and then will give you opportunities, but what he is, he's got that dog in him. Do you know what I mean? He stays in matches. He's got a great match play element to his game, which means that he has this amazing ability to win matches even when he doesn't play particularly well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that is an ability that any pool player would probably give some fingers for.
Yeah.
It's a real quality, especially at this level, to have.
That's gonna drop. It just drops. So the yellow just below the 8. I'm going to assume that must pass. Oh, it's tight. You can see from that camera angle a second ago, but I think it passes to right centre. It would be the only pocket that it does go into. But the way he's left this, you have to assume it will. It does have the angle just to come over and nudge into it if he can't pot it, but
I think that carries,
yeah, it must. It's tight, but it definitely, especially when you're right behind it like that.
Play shot here though.
Yeah, he should be okay. He can leave the yellow long if he wishes to. Just a little stun shot, stun back a couple of inches. Yeah, he's actually didn't want to have to squeeze past the red, so he's come across. A little bit of chalk he's noticed on the cue ball. Doesn't want to risk a kick. He's going to have to play a kind of soft screw shot with this yellow. Just screw the cue ball on and off the side cushion. Those are the kind of shots you can get a kick on, so wisely getting the cue ball cleaned.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, it's just a delightful stroke. And a simple 8-ball to seal the deal on frame 2. Honours even, 1 frame each.
Yeah, decent riposte that from Stevie Dempsey. And Stevie in first in frame number 3. And he's looking at these reds, and they do look in pretty good nick, actually. He's got one to worry about on the right rail, but he can get access to be on it perfectly. He's probably going to take it the ball after this one, because he can leave the one to the bottom left, so he doesn't have to do anything at all with the cue ball on the one that's frozen to that right side cushion.
Correction, of course. I did Rob Warren a disservice. He's actually playing in the semi-final this evening, not David McNamara. In fact, it was a fantastic performance from Rob. In his earlier match, he was involved in a 6-red shootout in which he was set 23 seconds by Arf and Dad, and I think most people would have written him off at that point, but he made an incredible clearance to win by about a clear second.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I think Rob's actually been incredibly underrated a little bit this year. He's coming into this weekend. He's had 4 quarterfinals out of the 8 series. Not quite got beyond that stage, but 4 quarterfinals is not to be sniffed at.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you can win 3 matches, 4 matches in a row in these tournaments, you're good enough to win it, basically. And Rob's finally broken that hurdle in Pro Series 9, going one better to the semi-final, putting a great shift following that win against Arfan Dad. A very impressive victory over Declan Brennan.
Talking about a run of quarterfinals, semi-finals, there was an interesting stat. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. This was a stat that came up yesterday that Sean Chipperfield has made 17 quarterfinals and beyond. I mean, that's just...
I'm sure he'll love that stat.
That's an amazing stat. Yeah.
Doesn't often waste those sorts of opportunities, and that was a really, really good route that he picked.
Breaks in frame number 4 with success.
Oh, what a weird layout this is.
Yeah, it's almost like the layout you get from a cut break when all the balls go across to one side of the table. There's a definite bias to the left-hand side cushion, and you feel that is he forced to take reds? Does he even have an opener on reds? Let's have a look at where they're lying.
Well, reds look like the obvious choice until you notice the yellow guarding the top right corner pocket.
Yeah.
And then yellows look
he's
almost like a non-starter. Anyway. But he's only got a starter on yellows.
Yeah.
This is a really awkward leave. Wouldn't surprise me, to see Stevie pull back from here, just hand the table over, but let's see what he's got for us. Looks like he is taking this yellow on.
There is an option over on this.
Oh, I'll tell you what, he's played a shot there.
Yeah. There's an option over on the left-hand side, so the two... as we look at it, the 2 yellows to the left-hand side of the table, they'll plant. It's an awkward little plant, and it's hard to land on as well. But they will plant, and in playing that plant, if you leave the right angle, you could nudge the other yellow out into the open. So there is an opportunity to do that. I think that's pretty much all he's had.
Well, he also has the yellow over the left centre pocket, which he can use to break into that sort of cluster.
Yep. That's
if he wants to.
I think he's probably going to be forced to now. He can't do much with this shot apart from leave it at the bottom of the table and leave that angle. So yeah, he's left a good angle. So he'll just run up inside the 8 ball and just break out everything. He'd be very unlucky not to land on something. Needs to give it a bit of pace though. He doesn't want to just run into them gently. You'll see him give this kind of medium hit. Yeah.
That's worst case scenario.
Didn't get the purchase.
I think he can leave a pretty naughty safety mind, but he's in a bit of trouble. Lee Anderson all of a sudden will have had his interest peaked in this frame. Yeah, pretty ruthless snooker that Stevie was able to leave. And do you know what? I really like the way he's played that as well, because he's promoted one of his balls top of the table from Lee Anderson almost begrudgingly. But the yellow close to the pocket now goes properly independently, and if he lands in the middle of the table on it, then he can go straight into his other yellows. And also, he's left a mean, nasty snooker to get out of. It's a tough hit.
He's actually got to bend his way out of the gap. Yeah, brushed the yellow on the way past. It would have been a foul. Well, he's not hit anything, but even if he had, didn't have the pace and then hit a cushion.
Well, Stevie's going to take the plant on first. Yeah, pretty masterful frame this from Stevie Dempsey, you know. Took on a really difficult finish. Ran aground, but always had the frame in his control. Never looked like losing it. And in 2 visits it may be, but the scoreline is still Stevie Dempsey 3, Lee Anderson 1. That was excellent.
If it stays close, we could be seeing a 6-red shootout, or maybe just not seeing the conclusion of somebody getting to 7. But that's not what Lee Anderson needs at all. Another dry break for him.
It's an awkward lie though. You can see what Stevie Dempsey thinks about it. You want to have a moment of your time, Nick, to preview the Challenger Series semi-finals coming up later on this evening. The 4 that have made it through: Ryan Davey, Ricardo Jones, Harjeet Singh and Mike Clark. 2 Scots, an Englishman and an Indian in the semi-finals. But how about the quarters, where only one of the quarterfinals did not go to a last frame decider?
Oh wow. Really,
how about that?
That's amazing.
And I'll list the 3 players who lost deciding frames in the quarters: Mickey Tomlinson, Amin Bounif and Sean Sharkey.
Yeah.
Like 3 quality players.
When I looked last night at the last 16, there were very few surprises. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the names that were there, Jamie Burnett and Morgan McInnes, is the people that have just been consistent all season. And yeah, I mean, there's no shocks in that semi-final either. I mean, Harjeet Singh has been around the game long enough and played enough at the top level that he would grace the Pro Series. Fabulous player. Ryan Davey, equally one of the top Scottish players.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying has been fairly deep this year. I could be wrong on that. The one name that sort of jumped out at me a little bit was Ricardo.
Yeah.
First time I've seen him this deep in an event.
Yeah, when I first saw his name, I thought it was Ricky Jones having a bit of fun with his name, but but it's not. It is Ricardo.
Yeah, he got through Richard Toomey in the quarterfinals, 6-3. So a pretty blockbuster lineup in the Challenge Series semi-final. And when you consider you know, how much the challengers have to play for this weekend. Arguably more than the pros, really.
Yeah.
Or a lot of the pros, at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Still always that prize in the last weekend of if you win an event, we'll see you in the pros.
Well, that was a real bonus for Stevie. I didn't realise that he could get through to the potting angle of that yellow top left. Yeah, the challenger semis and the final will be also this evening. Am I right in thinking?
Yes. Not 100% sure on that. I think the semis and the final are this evening, yes. I'm not sure where we will be able to watch them. Final is live for you on the main table, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Not sure on the other two as things stand. I know on the main table we'll be seeing the action from the two Pro Series 9 semi-finals. We've got Rob Warren versus Dave McNamara and Tom Cousin versus Phil Harrison. They're going to run it back. They've had plenty of fantastic ding-dongs down the years and also on the Ultimate Pool stage as well.
Yeah, it's one of those games when you look down through any event, those games are the classics. When you see Tom against Phil, they're always going to be fantastic games.
Yeah, agreed.
They've both played together, sparred together many, many years across the UK tour and so on and so forth. They've played each other multiple times. It'd be interesting to know who's got the edge out of those two players, because they've both been at the top of the game for such a long time. Both former world champions. Obviously Tom having a much better season than Phil, but Phil Harrison is just, I mean, he seems to have found another gear this weekend. It's back to the Phil we know and love.
They've got to play each other first, and that will be a real battle, because I think if you offered both Deej and Rob a semi-final and said they were facing each other, they would both really fancy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they'll both look at that game and think, I could have more difficult opponents. I mean, if it had been, you know, the other way round and it had been one against Tom and one against Phil, then they wouldn't relish it as much as playing each other. They'll both feel that they're in that game. You know, neither are going to fear any player, but you can't fear any player. But at the same time, you know, you are going to think, this shot here should be making the final.
Yeah, I think so.
So but in fact, both the semi-finals are really well balanced in terms of the opponents.
Yeah, I'd completely agree. So Lee Anderson at the table, and it's not quite the last chance saloon for the bow, but he needs to find something, and pretty quickly. 4-1 down can, if it goes to 5, get away from you very, very quickly indeed.
Yeah, and he's left himself a problem there. That yellow has landed awkwardly. Now, it looks like if he can screw into this cube, he needs to get the cue balls moving really quickly. Yeah, he was trying to move the red out of the way, not the red that he's made contact with, the other one. But he didn't get the purchase. Really difficult when you're close to the cue ball like that to get it moving in the right direction. Hard to judge. So he still has a problem with that yellow at the bottom of the table, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to move it, to develop it. He may be forced to try and land on it now, behind somehow, to play it long, but I'm not even sure how that's going to work.
I think the only pocket it goes to at the moment is the bottom left. It may go middle left.
Yeah.
Probably goes middle right, but good luck landing on that angle.
I mean, he can screw straight back now, but
Oh, is he loading up? I think he is.
Yeah. Again,
he's gone to hit that red full in the face, hasn't he? That was the plan.
he's not got the right angle on the bottom middle. It's too thin. I mean, you could try and navigate in behind the red and then just try and play a delicate shot to get behind the yellow, but I just don't see how it works. I think you've got to play this clatter into the red and hope that it knocks your ball out, but this is a 1 in 10. He has tried to play behind the yellow and land it.
Oh, he's played such a good shot there. But the issue is look at the angle he's got, because he's still got to land on the 8 ball. With a little bit less pace there, and obviously hindsight is 2020, but if he landed on the right side of the yellow and he's taking it up the table, he's got something of a thing to go at to get the cue ball tracking upwards. The minute the cue ball's going straight into that right side cushion. Can he get it?
I think it's going into the red. I think he needs to try and cannon the red half ball. Oh, he could get past it.
Oh, he had to take it long in the end. That was the only way he could see the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And that was very tough indeed.
That yellow over the pocket is going to do him no favours whatsoever, because this is pretty simple now for Stevie to find a loss of turn and leave Lee in all kinds of bother. He just needs to find his opening pot and work out which ball. I think he pots this one to the right corner and plays the other red on the cushion long to plant
the yellow and snooker behind the red for the 8 ball. Yeah.
Yep.
Just needs to be a bit cute with this, because doesn't want to leave too easy a hit.
Yeah, the plant should be unmissable. I don't think he can avoid leaving anything but a one cushion escape. It is just top cushion, so he can get this 8 ball moving. If he comes at it from behind, then he brings 2 pockets into play, the middle pocket and the bottom left. He doesn't want to come off side cushion because there's too much traffic on the right hand side. He doesn't want to get the 8 ball moving in that direction, so it has to be top cushion. He may play it controlled, but I would expect him to give it a bit of pace. He did try and control it. He tried to control it and play it into the middle pocket.
Yeah, decent effort. Not to be for Lee.
Saving grace is that the 8's gone across the red, so it just causes Stevie a headache. I mean, this would be an absolute dot-to-dot finish if that hadn't happened, so he just needs to give that some consideration about how he lands on that red. It doesn't offer much hope, but it goes from a 10 out of 10 finish to maybe a 9.5, because that is something that could potentially go wrong. Straight across for it. Tries to land it, but he's overhit it.
Get second prize though. He can drop this into the middle after the bottom of the red.
Still short.
Oh yeah, he definitely tried to land on it to the bottom right. He's on it, but it's a much tougher pot than it ought to have been.
Yeah, this is thin. And this is what I mean about that 8 ball coming across the red. It can just cause that little bit of problem.
Were you a bit surprised to see him not just drop in behind the red and leave it straightish to the middle pocket?
Yeah, actually, I hadn't even spotted that shot, but when you mentioned that, I thought, yeah, just drop it in. And I mean, it's a thin little cut, but it was definitely on.
That's a nicely played shot. I mean, that's played to perfection.
Yeah, 2 inches less of pace, and he's got to play a horrible plant, but that is so well judged. There's no luck about that shot. It's not been absolute classic Stevie Dempsey, but he's 5-1 ahead, and he really has some decent clearances along the way.
Yeah, I've been really impressed. You know, I think this is, in a way, to use that phrase, I think this is slightly classic Stevie Dempsey. You know, he's not been absolutely unbelievable and, you know, blowing people away, but the way that he plays makes him so incredibly difficult to beat.
Yeah, tenacity, isn't it? He's got it in spades.
Yeah.
Scorelines at the moment: Craig Waddingham leading Jimmy Carney 4-2. Neil Rayburn 3-2 up on the Australian Paul Clack. Christopher Lambert 3-0 against the man from Northern Ireland, Gary Clark. There's one other game in play at the moment: Scott Gillespie, Carl Morris, and they're one apiece.
Oh, poor Scott. I watched Scott's first round match with Cam Tolley in Pro Series 9, and it was one of those where I knew Goobsy would leave it thinking, I will never pick up my cue ever again. And then his reward is to face Carl Morris on a back table in Pro Series 10.
It's been a torturous season for Scott this season, especially knowing what he is capable of. He dominated the game for a couple of years ago, and it's just not kind of refound that form. Lots of other things going on in life. He got married and so on and so forth. So other priorities, which is quite understandable, and we know that he's got the quality. He will be back for certain.
Yeah, a tough one, but also he has won, and that was a huge moment for him. I know, winning the Ultimate Pool Masters earlier on this year.
Yeah, it just shows there's just that moment of brilliance in an otherwise fairly forlorn season. He's been really down in the dumps about his game for a while, but then just suddenly just turns it around and wins an event. So Lee Anderson coming about this clearance really well. This is the best we've seen of him so far. And he's going to get his second frame on the board, barring some real catastrophe. Just reminding Stevie Dempsey that he's still there. Nice clearance.
It was a showcase event, that was the idea. They put the four of them together at this event to sort of show off what wheelchair pool is all about, and I think they achieved that goal. It was amazing to watch, and I think if you were watching it along with us at home yesterday, I think we had some pretty favourable comments as well. People enjoyed what they saw.
Definitely, yeah. Stevie forced him to go in reds here, but he's only got one red that he can go at, and that's that long one. It's not an easy opener. You fancy him to get it, but he needs to play position as well, so he needs to cue well.
Just like that.
Yeah. What else do you expect from this man? That was a great piece of cueing.
Yeah, he's into rhythm now. That was a sort of similar shot to the one he missed in the first frame, where sort of long and straight and needed a cue ball, and he was a long way off it early on in the match, but he's really into his rhythm now, and those are the sorts of shots that you just expect him to make at this stage.
Yeah, and he left a delightful angle on that ball to middle just to be able to screw straight back for this one difficult ball. Again, he's fairly straight, but that could be perfect. He could just run forward, probably 5 or 6 inches, just like so. He's going to take the one to bottom left now. Just needs to navigate the yellows. We may see him play this with rings of maybe he doesn't quite have the angle that he wants to get back out, so he may take the one to middle first to leave a better angle. I think from this angle he may, just wondered if he could play it with a lot of left-hand side, but he doesn't think he can get out past the yellows, so he's going to take the one to middle and come back for that red. Yeah, that's a better angle. Just slightly higher up the table. And now he should be able to screw the cue ball past the yellow cushion side. It's a tight gap. He may flick the yellow, but it should help it up the table. Just needs to judge the pace. Unless he could come inside.
He's judged that beautifully.
Yep. So I wasn't sure if he could avoid the yellows from the camera angle we had, but deceiving. He could it quite easily.
Yeah, lovely. Just a really good visit to the table from one of the best players in the world.
Interesting to see the development of his career over the last 6 or 7 years. He won a big amateur event that arguably he should have never been in because he was never at that level.
But I think his best attribute is his mental game. He's so strong mentally. That word you used earlier, that tenacity, that comes from there, and it's what elevates him, I think.
Lee taking no time to get down on these. The yellows are all there. The two that came to rest at the bottom of the table or a dead set plant, so he can clear the top of the table and just work his way down. This should be a fairly simple clearance, and it's exactly what he needed at this point, was a quick clearance. The clock's going to be against him soon. That's fine. Probably just short of where he wanted to be, but he's absolutely fine. He can just drop this in dead weight. There is still time. There's going to be around about 11 minutes left after this clearance, so that's enough time to win a few frames. Just needs the opportunities.
Yeah, it's well out of his hands now. That's the issue, and just the way that Stevie's playing and breaking, you're not expecting any chances. So Stevie Dempsey on the break, and he's made a ball as his quest to advance in Ultimate Pool Pro Series 10 continues apace. And he could pick any ball here. These have come out beautifully.
Yeah, it's going to be yellows just simply because of the yellow that's bottom left of the table, and they kind of link up a bit better. He's seen the clearance really quickly as well. It's just a bit short of pace. A bit short of pace. If he's another 5 or 6 inches, he can just kill the cue ball. But as it is, he's going to have to come across the table. And that was a hammer break.
Yeah,
living up to
break befitting the name. Yeah, quite.
Just slightly hampered here, but he can get to the back of the cue ball, so he needs to just stun down a few inches onto this other yellow. He can work his way back up the table, and 15-second clock is now in action, but I don't think that's going to affect this match any longer.
No.
Last couple of shots here from Stevie. And it's been a very, very solid performance.
Yeah, hasn't it just? Stevie Dempsey putting the finishing touches on another victory in this Pro Series campaign. Still in the hunt to finish the year as #1. He'll need a few more of these today and indeed tomorrow if he's to get that particular accolade. This 8-ball to book his spot in the next round of Pro Series number 10. Never in doubt. Stevie Dempsey gets the job done against Lee Anderson, and this particular Titan continues to roll on. And you can see and remember Clash of the Titans in December, where you can see Stevie Dempsey in all of his finery.